I know the drill here. I open the show, I'm supposed to thank everybody. I'm supposed to thank the Academy for letting me open and giving me this privilege. But I'm out here for a reason. You see, last week, Yamamoto, the girl that everyone says is the future of wrestling, she lost to the Academy Champion. And she lost pretty decisively. And so someone like me sitting here thinking I could be the future of wrestling and having my opportunities taken away by Yamamoto just because of the name behind her. Yeah, sure, you Americans, you know Kazuchika Okada, you don't know Sakuraba. And so Yamamoto gets the praise while I sit here grinding my ass off and getting nothing. Well, the women's tournament is off this week, and that means that I have a challenge for Yamamoto. I believe that I am the future of this business. I am the future of this sport. You are not. And you and I are going to meet in the ring. I'm going to prove why. And on top of that, both of us are tied right now in the tournament. The winner becomes the number one contender for Lazara's championship. And I know that I deserve that more than you. I'll be waiting for your answer. Well, the gauntlet has been thrown down, as they say. Katherine Sakomoto giving the proverbial white glove to the face of the future of wrestling, the Stormbringer, Yamamoto. And we're being told Yamamoto, she's not in the building, but she is on the GAW Academy campus, so maybe we will see this dream match of sorts. Our first match here features Jackal, and he was in action last week against the debuting Lancelot, and he had this to say to his mentor La Tortuga Roja after that match was done.
No, you told me that you were going to help me. That's what you told me. And I sat there while you did nothing to help me out against the man that attacked you. How do you justify that?
So that was footage, or more accurately, audio that was captured from outside Jackal's locker room after the show had gone off the air. Jackal had lost to the debuting Lancelot and clearly was not happy with La Tortuga Roja about how Roja carried himself in that match, or how little help he provided to Jackal. And you could hear Roja there silent, just listening to what Jackal had to say to him. So you wonder if that's a sign of tension between the two, or if that is just your typical master student, big brother, little brother type of dynamic where, you know, they get into fights and they end up being okay. I think this match is going to go a long way into finding out exactly which of those two things is the actual case here between Jackal and the legend La Tortuga Roja. Let's get to this first match. So I spent almost no time in that entrance talking about Andrew Wesley, which is a shame because Wesley is a tremendous in-ring talent. He comes from Japan. He is New Japan dojo trained, one of the few Americans to actually be allowed in to a New Japan dojo, and one of even fewer to actually complete the training and be considered dojo trained. And then, of course, he went on to hold gold in Pro Wrestling Noah, and now he sends Jackal out of the ring with a big-time clothesline. Wesley coming in now at 2-2-1. The last time we saw him was in an insane finish with Overload, who we will see next. But Overload pulled Wesley off the top turnbuckle and collapsed the ring with the combined weight of the two of them. That match was scored a draw. Wesley, I believe, won last week, defeating Lee Carr, and so now 2-2-1, 7 points. He is in that hole. There's a whole mess of guys down there with 7 points. Jackal is just one ahead with 8 at 3-2. Wesley hits him with a lariat from the back after Jackal docked the first one. Just shows you the quickness of the Bonesaw. Andrew Wesley going for the cover. Jackal kicks out. You can see La Tortuga Roja in Jackal's corner. He has been that mentor for the young Mexican cruiserweight. Wesley now, look at the quickness of Andrew Wesley. Stomp, roll out of the way from Jackal. Wesley from the top, acai moonsault. Look at the athleticism of the Bonesaw. And Wesley now standing Spanish fly. Oh yeah, Wesley from the middle rope, springboard moonsault, but he caught the referee. Referee is down. Wesley drags Jackal back into the middle of the ring. He didn't see the referee go down. Leg hooked. Referee's not back on his feet. Andrew Wesley could have collected the win here with that springboard moonsault, but he caught the referee with his foot. Jackal gets the elbow. Jackal now teardrop suplex. Drops him right on the back of his neck. That'll shut down momentum real fast. And Jackal now, check this out, over the top, and turns around, face wrecker from Jackal. Suddenly there is a whole new complexity to this match. Jackal now, little taunt, goes for the cover, and Wesley kicks out. And you gotta think that Roja's gonna be letting Jackal hear that. He went for the taunt, and that gave Wesley the second he needed to collect his wits and kick out. Jackal sends Wesley over the top. This was all Andrew Wesley in the early going, but that miscalculation on the acai moonsault, look at the strength from Andrew Wesley now, turns him around and drops him right on the steel steps. So that miscalculation means that Wesley could have had the win, and instead, we're still fighting, and Jackal very nearly came up with the 2 points. Jackal has a background in AAA. And Jackal now, check this out. Jackal has Wesley in trouble and hits him with the rolling storm. Jackal hooks the leg. Jackal for the win, and Wesley kicks out. The rolling storm is usually enough to do the job. Andrew Wesley has maintained control of this match. Might be a reason why he's still in a position to win even after the rolling storm. But again, that springboard moonsault that clipped the referee, that was Wesley's ticket to the win. And just that little miscommunication. They say it's a game of inches, and that certainly seems to be the case. Wesley now targeting the legs. Oh my goodness. Just spiked him on his knees. That's one of the most brutal moves you will ever see in the ring or not. And then once again, reintroduces Jackal to those steel steps. Those are not things that wrestlers want to become too familiar with. Jackal gets out of that as he was surely about to be dropped on the steps again. Reverse DDT, Jackal back in the ring. And Jackal will use this ability, this time to get himself a little bit more focus, catch his breath, and maybe he did a little bit too much. Into the corner, Wesley, open hand palm strike, and now sets Jackal on the top of the ropes. Jackal is absolutely disoriented after the palm strike, and Wesley follows him, and Wesley drives him down with the knees to the sternum, and Wesley now hooks the leg, referee counting, and no, Jackal kicks out. I thought Wesley had it with a couple big-time knees to the chest of the former AAA Cruiserweight champion. Wesley now gonna have to turn up the pace a little bit. Back elbow, Irish whip, reverse, Wesley into the corner. Jackal goes for it, misses, and a Gamengiri from Andrew Wesley. The Bonesaw now could be looking to end things here. Lariat ducked under and answered once again. This could be a big win for Andrew Wesley should he pick it up. Moves him to 9 points, which before any other match happens, the sliding kick avoided by Jackal and a standing shooting star press. You just see the athleticism of the young Mexican. Wesley has him in the headlock. Oh, this is brutal. Oh my goodness. Just spins him around head first. Goes for the slide once again. Jackal out of the way. Jackal using that quickness to such great effect, but Andrew Wesley now turns around. Backbreaker still up, and Wesley with a slam. Jackal out of the way of that stomp. Wesley with a back elbow. Forearm from Jackal, boot, caught. Wesley, exploder. Oh man, what an opening match we have today. And Wesley now has the arm, and Wesley pulls back on Jackal's arm. I thought he had a submission locked in there, and instead targets the arm. Wesley goes from behind. Wesley up and drops him with the West of the Rising Sun. One of the toughest moves in the Academy to reverse. It happens so quick. Wesley hooks the leg, and Jackal is kicked out. Oh my goodness. This is something right here. Andrew Wesley has kicked out of a rolling storm, and now Jackal has kicked out of West of the Rising Sun. Andrew Wesley now hooks him back in the single leg Boston Crab, just trying to do anything to try to end this match. His best chance came when the referee was on the ground. And Jackal has since turned this into a classic. Jackal targeting the head of the bone saw and introducing his bones to the top turnbuckle. Not a place you want to be. Step up enziguri from Wesley. And what a kick up. One of the best in the business. That's not something you hear very often, but it's certainly the case. Jackal gets the knees up, going for the springboard cutter. Andrew Wesley hits him to the ground, and Wesley slides, takes out the leg. Wesley takes out the leg of Jackal and tried to go, I believe, for West of the Rising Sun once again. Jackal that time did see it coming. 45 seconds left in this match. And the absolute scenes here if Andrew Wesley were to pick up a second draw. Now he's just trying to drive the oxygen out of Jackal, hooking him against the ropes. 30 seconds left here for someone to make a move. Wesley takes Jackal into the corner. You figure he's got one more shot at this. 15 seconds, Wesley drives the boots into the chest. Wesley thinks that may have done it. 10 seconds left. Wesley rolls him over, middle of the ring. This is his last chance. Wesley hooks the leg. Jackal kicks out, and we're going to get a draw. What an opening match. Wow. Well, folks, we've seen 2 draws so far in the Stormchaser tournament. Both of them have involved Andrew Wesley. The first one involved this man when Overload used Wesley's carcass, and I call it a carcass after what Overload had done to him in that match, to collapse the ring, which is still sitting in tatters in the back somewhere. But since then, Overload has not had the best run of form. He's dropped down to 2-2-1, same record as Wesley. Before that match, Wesley now obviously 2-2-2. So Overload has an opportunity to make things right and get back to his winning ways.
How did you find a way to run from the city of the sun?
Meanwhile, Stefford Drummond coming in. It has not been the best tournament for Stefford Drummond. He has collected a win, which is worth noting. but he sits at 1-4, and after committing to going undefeated for the rest of the tournament 2 weeks ago, he picked up a loss last week, I should say, when he lost to the still undefeated Eddie Hernandez, who will be facing Yun Son Park, of course, next episode. GAW Academy legend Yun Son Park. So that'll be a lot of fun. But Stefford Drummond trying to pick up his second win here, again, after he committed to going undefeated. We'll see if he can do it against the 400-pounder. But this match is even... Oh, Stefford Drummond explodes out of the gate with a big forearm. Actually puts Overload on his back, and then Overload answers in kind and drops the elbow right onto Stefford Drummond. That was a little homage to Andre the Giant, who amazingly would dwarf Overload. And Overload is not a small man. Uppercut from Stefford Drummond, now going in with the corkscrew forearm, and a lariat follows up. Once again, puts Overload on his back, and that is something that Andrew Wesley really struggled to do in his match with the former world's strongest man. It was a big reason why that match went 8 minutes and ended in a draw. Stefford Drummond a little bit stronger than Wesley, a little bigger as well. Once again going for that forearm. Overload shoves him away. And I am contractually obligated to tell you every match that Overload is in that what was Drummond doing there? Trying to dance in Overload's face, and he gets a mouthful of turnbuckle for his efforts. I am contractually obligated to let you know that Overload claims to have moved one of the Stonehenge monuments 6 inches to the left. I am not contractually obligated, but I am obligated by my duties as a commentator to tell you that we cannot verify that claim. So take that for what you will. Drummond now, look at this, big shoulder tackle, and again has Overload on his back for a second time. Overload tosses him over the top turnbuckle, and Drummond going up top. It's not somewhere where he's comfortable, but he drops the double sledge. That one will work. Harkening back to his days as a construction worker. And speaking of which, Drummond, it takes a lot of strength to lift up this man. And what does Drummond say? Life's not fair. Overload just found that out the hard way. Drummond brought him back down. And Drummond now. Nope. Faked us all out with the stomp. Little back kick to the head. And Stefford Drummond could be looking to end proceedings. Drummond now trying to hoist him up. Overload clotheslines him over the top. Drummond, I think, was trying to get him up for the get a job. What many of us would know as the Steiner screwdriver or the drill claw. Overload now trying to take advantage of Drummond's chest. Drummond shoves him off, and now back into the middle of the ring. Stefford Drummond has really done a fantastic job of controlling this match, and Drummond now, look at this, side headlock, perches himself up, and tries to choke out the big man, and got a 2 count out of it. I don't care what they say, kids. Those types of holds are effective. You're seeing it work here with Stefford Drummond. Drummond now from behind snaps him down. A beautiful snap neck breaker from Stefford Drummond, and now turns his attention to the arm and wrenches Overload's head back. Overload into this kneeling position, and there's just nothing he can do as Stefford Drummond, again, working on the neck area of Overload. The strength ends up being too much, but I think that's really the point. Overload has Drummond up against the top rope and slingshots him back. We're coming up on the halfway point here. We'll see if one of these men can get something started. Overload. Overload, I think I know what he's going for. Overload, hospital ride. That's exactly what that is. That is a one-way ticket to the hospital after he caves in your chest, and Steffer Drummond kicked out. That is the third big move that we've seen someone kick out of today. And we're 2 matches in. This is a performance from Drummond, and Drummond was looking for the OSHA incident, the Canadian destroyer. Overload scouted it well. Under 5 minutes left. We have gone halfway in 2 consecutive matches, and that is not something that's very common here in the Academy. Overload going for the pin. Steffer Drummond, a very, very labored kick out, just able to hoist his shoulder up off the mat, and I think Overload could smell blood in the water. Overload has Steffer Drummond back into a camel clutch, and this is painful no matter who's doing it, but if it's a 400-pounder, it's even worse. Steffer Drummond able to get out of it, and just like the modified camel clutch that Overload was able to withstand, Drummond has done the same. Drummond with a reverse suplex. This has been a terrific match so far, and Drummond does have him up. Steffer Drummond, get a job. He was told that so many times in his life, he has himself a job. Oh! Somebody needs to stop kicking out of the big moves. I can't take this all night. Elbow to the gut and Overload with a belly to belly. Oh man, I could feel that from here. Overload looking for the big slam. Steffer Drummond wisely out of it. Drummond hoists Overload up once again. And Drummond for the second time is going to say to Overload, life's not fair. You hear it too much as a kid, and Overload's now heard it twice as a full-grown man. Drummond snaps his neck back again. Coming up on the 3-minute mark here. Someone's got to do something, because I don't want to see another draw. And I'm sure Steffer Drummond doesn't want to see it either. Overload's already had one in a match that he certainly has a claim to get the win. And Drummond once again trying to hoist him up. Overload scouted it. Overload hoists him up and drops him down. Drives Steffer Drummond spine first into the mat, and Overload has the win. A big match win for the 400-pounder. And he did it with the help of a gigantic slam, but also the resiliency to kick out of the get a job. We're seeing a little bit more from Overload than we've seen in the past. You know, he is new to the wrestling game, but this, the get a job, almost spelled doom for the former world's strongest man. A terrific performance from Overload and a well-deserved win. Folks, we're being told backstage we have a camera. Yamamoto and Katherine Sakomoto have come face-to-face backstage. It looks like nothing physical here going on between these two women, but it means that Yamamoto is in the building. And if Yamamoto is in the building, I think that means we have a main event. Yamamoto versus Katherine Sakomoto, and it will be for the Women's Academy Championship #1 contendership. That is going to be something, absolutely something to look forward to, no doubt. Coming up next, the debutante Lancelot announced himself to the world in a big, big way last episode by beating up the legend La Tortuga Roja. Now, he will go for his second consecutive win against Mexican Shaya. It is quite a sight to see Lancelot making his GAW Academy entrance You can follow him on Twitter there at Sir Lancelot DJ, stands for Daniel Johnson, which is his real name, but of course, he goes by the ring persona Lancelot, and that persona has made him a 124-time champion across several different promotions, many different underground promotions that Lancelot has been a part of, and that leads him into a more emotional match than you would expect, given the fact that he has spent just over a week here in the Academy. But his match against Mexican Shaya, who claims to be the underground king, well, it's a little bit more emotionally charged than you would normally see. Mexican Shaya answering in kind. Lancelot comes in with the pyro, we know that. And so Shaya gonna answer. This man claims to be Mexican underground royalty and a former AAA Cruiserweight champion, one of two that we have here in the GAW Academy. Part of the dangerous Hernandez brothers, although neither of them accompanying him to the ring, as both of them, of course, are in action tonight. Shaya has taken exception to Lancelot's success in the underground, claiming that there is only one underground king, which can't be his official nickname, by the way, because I believe that's already taken by one Eddie Alvarez. So Mexican Shaya settled on the Dragon of the South, which, you know what, I think that's a pretty solid nickname if you ask me. It's a grudge match of sorts between Shaya and Lancelot. Let's do it. We're about to be introduced to a very unique style that we really don't have that much experience with in the Academy. Falcon Arrow early on here from Lancelot. Easy kick out from Shaya, just testing him out here. These two men are both underground trained, and the style that they bring is very much unlike anything else that we have in the Academy. You know, if you notice, most of our prospects here are trained in professional wrestling around the world in very prestigious places. In places like the New Japan Dojo. In the case of Oliver Parker, you've got the Dragon Gate Academy. You've got some famous wrestling schools from around the United States. We've got a couple prospects from the Heart Dungeon. You know, you've got all of these. You've got this fantastic mix of professional wrestling backgrounds, and these two guys are pretty much the only two to come from an underground background, and what that means is they fight basically entirely on instinct. There is very little amateur training in the underground professional wrestling scene. It's very much using your instinct, playing to your strengths, and it's a reason why for both of these men, their movesets are so varied. There are so many different things you can see from them, and it's a big reason why you're probably noticing already the pace can change so abruptly. We can go from an all-out brawl to, you know, very slow kind of a more mat-based attack to something that might resemble a cruiserweight match. You know, it really is tremendous. Big spine buster from Lancelot. And Lancelot now, this one's a much more serious pin. And Shaya kicks out. He calls that the Grand Chariot. And it certainly is grand. Chop missed as Shaya rolls away. Boot, and Shaya with a code red. Didn't try to roll him up for the pin. I think he saw right as he was going for it that he was too close to the ropes. And indeed, Lancelot did hook his foot around the ropes out of instinct. Like I said, it is instinctual for these guys. And even though Shaya spent some time in AAA, he is underground trained, and you see that in his fighting style. Lancelot from the corner. Lancelot could be looking for a kill shot. RTD! Round table decapitator for Lancelot. Hooks the leg and Shia kicks out. It was a bit early in the match and not a lot of damage had been done to the head area of Mexican Shia, and Shia now rolls back through and takes him down, and there is the Mexican inspiration for Mexican Shia. Nice takedown from Lancelot, who has really controlled most of this match, and Grand Chariot once again. Wow, that spine buster. One of the best moves in wrestling, in my opinion. Shia able to shake off the effects pretty well. Shia is a pretty big guy. You can see the size advantage. Lancelot's not small. And so it really is remarkable that Shia was able to get himself to the 225-pound limit to compete in the AAA Cruiserweight division. His natural weight is about 250. Really is something. Shia looking for the super kick. Lancelot out of the way, answers with a knee. He calls that super kick Meet the Boss. And Lancelot drops a knee right on his throat. Lancelot looking for the pin, and Shia just able to power him off. That's something that Lancelot often does. He'll drop the knee on the throat, and he'll just make you think about it. And he'll make you try to move that knee, which sometimes can do even more damage. Lancelot knows his stuff. He may not be classically trained, as they say, but he is as dangerous as they come. 124 championships combined across every promotion that he's been in, which is many. And Shia, I told you that we could see this match turn into more of a mat-based contest, even though neither of these men are traditionally trained in the amateur wrestling style. You pick up a lot of things in the underground, and Lancelot's about to find that out the hard way. Look at this, Mexican Shia, butterfly suplex into a knee. There are things these men do that you will not see anywhere else. Once again, going for Meet the Boss, Lancelot sidesteps. You really might not see anyone doing what these men can do. It's really remarkable. Lancelot tosses Shia back into the ring. Shia able to get to his feet, scared of what Lancelot might do, and I don't blame him. Looking for the Hurricane Rana. Lancelot drops him back in the electric chair. And Lancelot now, Grand Chariot, a third one. Lancelot rolls over, hooks the leg with 4 minutes remaining, and Mexican Shia kicks out with the referee's hand centimeters from the mat. Lancelot not letting the emotion get the best of him. He's going straight back. You can see him stepping on the fingers of Mexican Shia, and now back in the corner once again. Lancelot lining it up for more damage. RTD. Mexican Shia out of the way. Lancelot, though, still trying to push the pace, and he does. DDT. A DDT to Mexican Shia, the Dragon of the South, and now an RTD. Round table decapitator, and I think that's what he did. Someone's going home with Mexican Shia's head as a gift, and Lancelot picks up his second win. I'm pretty sure I saw Mexican Shia's head fly into the fifth row. What a tremendous match between these two who, like I said, know each other so well. And it's a big reason why a lot of the big moves, specifically from Mexican Shia, could not land. Kept trying to get that Meet the Boss super kick, and it never materialized. Lancelot knew him too well. Tremendous match fought by both men. And with that, folks, Lancelot is fighting just his second match in the Academy, but we have a major signing right now that we need to tell you about. A man coming in, much like Lancelot, from the underground. One of the most feared men in all of underground wrestling. And he's Lancelot's brother. He is Frankie Omega.
say I...
Well, the new GAW Academy Champion coming out first. Garrett Gibson won that belt from Scott Danielson a couple weeks ago. And it certainly looks good on him, that's for sure. And I do want to mention real fast, Frankie Omega coming in. This guy, I mean, we were excited about Lancelot, and if you liked what Lancelot was doing, you absolutely should love what Frankie Omega brings to the table. The two are very, very similar. I talked about the underground style, and that's what Frankie Omega brings. So you should be very excited about seeing him somewhere down the line. Kurt Andrews, he is becoming a weekly sight. Go follow him on Twitter as well, at jar_o_dirt. He is a tremendous follow, I just gotta say. He's becoming a weekly sight here, and it's because he is a fan favorite, and with good reason. He said that he will stop coming out with his 2 championship belts, despite the fact that he is the current XCW Intercontinental and PPW United States champion. He wants to make a name for himself on his own merits, and he is certainly doing that. He is undefeated in the Stormchaser tournament, 5-0, 10 points. He has the opportunity to potentially take the lead in the Stormchaser tournament, depending on results of future matches, which we will tell you in a second. Let's get to this one of my most anticipated matches of the day. Andrews trying to come out with that flying crossbody. Gibson pushes him away. These two come from such completely different styles. Gibson is an amateur wrestling machine, an Olympian, a Pan Am Games gold medalist. Kurt Andrews comes in with a military background. He's got that incredible level of cardio. He pushes the pace so well. Suplex into the pile driver, or into the power bomb, I should say. And Andrews now looking for the springboard kick. Gibson out of the way. These two men are so polished in their wrestling abilities. I mean, these are two guys that really have every reason to believe that they could be on the GAW main roster right now, but here they are getting themselves some recognition in the Academy, and they should be. Andrews with a quick flurry of moves goes for the first cover of the match, a minute in, and not even a 2 count as Gibson kicks out. Title's not on the line, but of course Gibson got his opportunity against Scott Danielson by beating him in the first week of the Stormchaser tournament. So I think Andrews knows what's at stake, and he would love nothing more than to add the Academy Championship to his growing list of accolades. Gibson sends him into the corner. Andrews out of the way. Gibson into the tree of woe, able to get himself down, but a quick kick from Andrews gets the momentum back on his side. Andrews looking to taunt Gibson, but Gibson having none of it. Both these men incredibly strong. Andrews comes in as one of the premier athletes in the Academy. Gibson, on the other hand, oh, again, Gibson trying to jump into the corner, and it's the same combination that once again has Andrews on top in this match. Andrews with the arm lock, and he turns around into a big-time forearm, and Gibson drops him with the All-American clothesline. Gibson hooks the leg, and Andrews kicks out. Normally, the All-American clothesline is enough to do the job, but in this scenario, Gibson really had not done enough. He had not done enough damage to the head of Andrews, but that'll do it. Rolling lariat from the champion. And now drives Andrews head first into the mat. A slower pace will benefit the champ, no doubt about it. Gibson, look at the strength, military press. It's no secret that Garrett Gibson is one of the bright spots of the GAW Academy. A man that was very highly touted coming in and was undefeated in the Academy, until very recently. And now Kurt Andrews has an opportunity not only to remain undefeated in the Stormchaser tournament, potentially go first in the standings, but also to notch his claim as the #1 contender to the GAW Academy Championship. And a lot could happen to that belt after the Stormchaser tournament is concluded. Andrews trying to do just that. Andrews with a double underhooks in, and Kurt Andrews drops him down. Eye of the Storm. He has taken Gibson in, and Kurt Andrews has beaten the champ. What a win for the Buccaneer as he beats the Lone Star. Wow. And now Garrett Gibson finds himself in familiar territory just on the other side. In week 1, he beat Scott Danielson, and he used that to notch his claim as the next challenger for the GAW Academy Championship. He got his match, and then he got his belt. Well, now Kurt Andrews has done the same. Kurt Andrews has put down the Lone Star, and now it's Andrews who has notched his claim as the #1 contender. And it is also Andrews who remains undefeated. One of 2 men to be that way this deep into the tournament, 6-0 for the Buccaneer. And folks, there's a real chance that Kurt Andrews could go undefeated in this tournament. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I think the possibility is out there. We got our main event still to come. We will get you to the match results and the standings right now, but first we have to tell you about a company that we have worked with in the past that is relaunching that we are so excited about. Folks, it is RCW, and we'll have the links on where you can see that. You can go check out Tuba Splat on Twitch. He broadcasts RCW. So many of RCW and GAW champions have crossed over. Most notably, AJ Styles, a GAW legend, has announced that he will come out of retirement to join RCW. And you can just see the lineup of legends there. It is going to be an incredible, incredible start when that begins this Saturday, November 22nd. I'm sorry, November 21st, I should say. So go check that out. That is going to be absolutely tremendous, and I think we are all looking forward to that. We will have more information about RCW over on the GAW main roster when that resumes next week. For now, though, we'll get you caught up on the standings and match results. And the women were off this week, as Katherine Sakomoto mentioned, because they have fewer matches in the tournament, but we'll refresh you on their standings anyway, because there is a big story developing next match. Lazara still stands in first at 5-0. Yamamoto and Katherine Sakomoto tied behind her, 4-1, 9 points each. Katherine still has to take on Lazara, I believe. And Yamamoto obviously lost to Lazara last week. Katherine's sister Kristen hot on their tails with 8. Caitlin Dunlap, the new acquisition, has looked fantastic so far. She is 2-3 with 7 points. Suzuki, Martina Del Sol, and Katana bringing up the rear. And the match between Yamamoto and Katherine Sakomoto that is next is going to be the #1 contenders match for Lazara's GAW Academy Championship. That is going to be an absolutely tremendous contest. Over to the men, and the matches we did not see started off with Leiter beating the 400-pound Tonga, so cutting Tonga's momentum short after he picked up his first win last week. New and improved Leiter looking great. Ulysses Sky takes down Lee Carr, a much-needed win for Sky. Eddie Hernandez remains undefeated with a win over Flyboy, and Oliver Parker stays atop the standings with a win over former champion Scott Danielson. So what does that mean for our standings right now? Well, for the first time, I believe, in this tournament, we have an undisputed first place as Oliver Parker at 5-1 and 13 points takes over first. Garrett Gibson slides back with a loss, and he actually slides behind both Kurt Andrews and Eddie Hernandez, who are undefeated, each with 12. Ulysses Sky back with 10 at 2-4, but he still has those 2 points from winning an opening battle royal. You have Jackal and Overload at 3-2-1 with 9. Scott Danielson and Leiter both at 3-3. also at 9. Andrew Wesley, 2-2-2. It's been tough for Wesley. He could easily be 4-2 right now as it stands. 8 points, still puts him ahead of Flyboy and Mexican Shaya. Lancelot at 2-4. He inherited the record of La Tortuga Roja, but he is climbing fast with 8 points. Lee Carr, Stepford Drummond, and Tonga all down at 1-5 with 7 points apiece. Folks, our main event pits 2 of the brightest stars in women's wrestling as Yamamoto and Katherine Sakomoto meet in the ring. Sakamoto's got something to prove. Yamamoto certainly does herself, trying to bounce back from a loss to Lazara. Let's see how that plays out in a highly anticipated main event match. Well, we say this a lot here in the Academy, and we are so blessed to do so. This would be a main event match just about anywhere. And to have it here in the Academy is humbling for me and is really incredible because we get to see some of the best wrestling on the planet. And these fans get to see some of the best wrestling on the planet. And when you talk about best wrestlers, you can't go very far without mentioning Yamamoto. We have talked so much about her, but Katherine has something to say. Katherine Sakomoto, known as the MMA Legend Killer, wins over Gina Carano, Ronda Rousey, Amanda Nunes, and Chris Cyborg. I mean, you want to talk about a who's who, a Mount Rushmore of mixed martial arts. Those are the women you would put on it. Katherine Sakomoto has beaten every single one of them, and now she looks to add another head to her trophy cabinet. If she were to beat Yamamoto here, the woman that many believe will be the next biggest star in wrestling. This promises to be a clash of styles in a big way. Yamamoto is a traditional professional wrestler in every sense of the word. Dojo trained, taken under the wing of Kazuchika Okada, one of the greatest professional wrestlers that's ever lived. Katherine, on the other hand, very little professional wrestling training in comparison, but a whole lot of MMA training. Knees up on the senton. Smart from Katherine, and now with a heavy right hand drops down Yamamoto, and this is the first of what I assume will be many submissions tonight. Knee bar easily countered by Yamamoto, but you know, when it comes to submissions, it's not about the first, it's about the last. And now a great combination left Yamamoto with nowhere to go but her behind. And now Katherine once again locking in a figure 4 type hold here. Obviously excruciating pain being felt by the young 19-year-old. Katherine releases the hold and still on top of Yamamoto. Big left hand, and now Yamamoto, look at this, German suplex, holds on. Yamamoto with a second, rolls it over, and now Yamamoto hits the triple Germans. We talk so much about Yamamoto being a student of the game, and she showed it right there. Whether it's Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle, or Brock Lesnar, some of the greatest in the history of the business have pulled out the triple Germans, and Yamamoto can do it too. Flying forearm. Gets up, a Manhattan drop from Yamamoto. Not always something that you see among the women, but Yamamoto is a unique competitor, to say the least. Rolling lariat. Katherine saw it coming, gets her in the collar and elbow tie up, and a big-time thrust kick from Katherine. We've seen her use that to win matches. Goes for the cover, she's going to need more. And you knew she was going to need more. Gets Yamamoto up to her feet. Nice double leg takedown, a little ground and pound here from Sakomoto. Katherine transitions up on the top rope. Yamamoto is up, and Katherine changes her plans and goes for the lariat from the top. It hits. Yamamoto with the arm drag. Uppercut misses, but Yamamoto quickly Yamamoto still has the arm locked. Look at this. Yamamoto drops her again with the left-handed lariat. These are not rainmakers, by the way. She uses her right hand to hit the rainmaker, but certainly that'll soften up that neck area. Again going for that rolling lariat. Katherine with an arm drag. Oh! Floors her with the right hand, but Yamamoto right back to her feet. The toughness of the 19-year-old on full display. Katherine, nice single arm takedown. Really targeting the left arm of Yamamoto. It's an interesting choice to go for the left. Conventional wisdom would say you go for the right, given that's the arm that she uses to hit the rainmaker. But I think the left is in preparation for actually escaping the wrist lock, which in my mind might be a smarter strategy. Drop toe hold in the second rope from Katherine, turns her over, and now Katherine uses the rope as an assist to drop the knee onto the throat of Yamamoto. Yamamoto wisely rolls out of the ring, and again, just the instincts, the wrestling knowledge of a woman so young is really what has everyone most impressed. The athletic ability is one thing. The length, the height, that's one thing. The pure strength, the variety of moves, that's one thing. But the instincts, the intangibles, that is something entirely different. But Katherine looking to put it away right now. Katherine has rolled it over into the legend killer. Yamamoto sees the ropes in front of her. She'll have to get there. She has to get to the ropes, and the referee does call for a break as Yamamoto reached out to hit the ropes. An elbow from Yamamoto. That legend killer submission, by the way, is absolutely nasty. Almost nobody is able to break it. Yamamoto, rainmaker! Wow. Just like that, Yamamoto hits a rainmaker. Just under 5 minutes left. Leg hooked. Katherine kicks out. And it was because, if you saw, right after Yamamoto hit the rainmaker, Katherine hooked her arm around the bottom rope. And it cost Yamamoto a couple seconds to have to drag her away. And that is ultimately what led to the kick out. And it's not just anyone that can say they've kicked out of a rainmaker. Katherine has entered rarefied air that includes names like Kenny Omega and Hiroshi Tanahashi that have kicked out of the rainmaker. Katherine again looking for legend killer. Yamamoto saw it coming this time. Yamamoto turns her around, and again, German suplex. This time, arm locked, rainmaker! Turns her inside out. Yamamoto, leg hooked. Yamamoto, 2, 3. Yamamoto is the #1 contender. What a sequence to finish that match from the 19-year-old Yamamoto. She saw the legend killer coming all the way and turns it into a rainmaker. Yamamoto bounces back from a loss with one of the biggest wins of her Academy career. She is the official #1 contender for the Academy Championship that Lazara currently holds, and I think these two are on a collision course in more ways than one. Next week, we will resume the women's tournament. As Stormchaser rolls on, we get closer and closer to the finish with a GAW main roster spot on the line and so many stories to be told as we move forward. Thank you once again, as always, for joining us. Subscribe. We appreciate you.